From planes left on city streets to the world's largest aircraft boneyard, here are 16 of the strangest abandoned airplanes.
Lost in Jersey. The Lockheed T-2 V1C Star was an aircraft used by the U.S. Navy for training purposes. In 1962, one of them crashed in a wooded area of New Jersey. The pilots safely ejected, and the Navy later salvaged the valuable turbojet. But the remainder of the plane was abandoned in the woods. It became something of a celebrity after being featured on local TV shows. Since then, it's become a popular hiking destination. Aircraft boneyards. That's a general term that refers to aircraft that have been retired from active service. Sometimes they're grounded for maintenance reasons. More often than not, the planes or helicopters will have their parts salvaged, and the bodies will be scrapped. You'll notice that a lot of these facilities are located in deserts, like those in the southwestern U.S.
The lack of precipitation reduces the chance of corrosion, and the hard alkaline soil doesn't need to be paved. And since these facilities are located in remote regions, they're not near metropolitan areas or commercial airports. That makes the desert an ideal open-air storage facility.
Even so, most of the boneyards don't allow visitors, but there is one that does. We'll get there.
If you're enjoying the list so far, why not hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed. Turn on notifications too, so you never miss an upload.
The Aircraft Petting Zoo. This boneyard was given its nickname by service members at the US-controlled Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. It was once the site of Soviet armed forces, and they left behind a number of destroyed jets. The burnt-out hulks of MiG-17s and other Soviet-era aircraft were found in hangars long after they were abandoned. The wrecks could later be seen lining the taxiways at the airbase. Southwest Airlines Flight 1248. In December 2005, this Boeing 737-700 had to be abandoned after it slid off the runway at Chicago Midway Airport. When the inclement conditions sent the aircraft skidding, its nose gear was crushed and it slammed into a barrier wall. As it slowed to a stop, the plane hit at least 3 cars in a crowded intersection at the airport's northwest corner. Several car passengers were critically injured, with only 1 fatality. 3 passengers on the plane received minor injuries. Following the mishap, the plane was towed to a hangar. After undergoing lengthy repairs, it went back into service in 2006 with a new tail number. Mojave Air and Spaceport.
Did you know that this location in the Mojave Desert is a certified spaceport? In 2004, it became the first facility in the U.S. licensed for the horizontal launchings of spacecraft.
It functions as a general airport that's used for air racing, space industry development, and heavy maintenance and storage. More than 1,000 commercial aircraft are estimated to be stored here. While some can be refurbished and resume active service, the majority are scrapped at the airplane boneyard. Experts say there are a lot of 747s stored here from airlines including United and Southwest. Planes bearing the insignia of defunct carriers like TWA and Pan Am have drawn particular attention. Abandoned Boeings in Bali. 2 Boeing 737s have been sitting abandoned on the island of Bali in Indonesia. By most accounts, the first one showed up in 2007. No one knows who the owner is or what their intention was for the aircraft. The other plane is situated in a fenced-off area in the southern part of the island. It's been located there since 2008, but the backstory of this one is better known. The owner had planned to turn it into a tourist attraction, but that has yet to happen. Actually, both aircraft have become tourist attractions with many people exploring the first plane, but the second is still barricaded. The Pegasus. If you want to see this abandoned wreck, you've got quite a trek because it's located in Antarctica. In 1970, a Lockheed C-121 named Pegasus made a forced landing due to harsh weather. 80 people were aboard, but there were no reported injuries. As of 2019, the wreck is still there and has been well preserved decades after being abandoned. It outlasted Pegasus Field, which was closed in 2016 and was named for the C-121. Kodinka Aerodrome, Russia. Built in 1910, this location served as Moscow's only airport until 1933. Passenger flights stopped in the 1940s, and during the next decades, it was used for shipping new aircraft.
By 2003, the aerodrome had ceased operations, but an estimated 30 to 40 aircraft remain abandoned at the site, and many consider it to be a museum of sorts.
Some of the airplanes identified there include MiG Foxbats and Sukhoi Flagons. Flying Fortress, Croatia. A major attraction for wreck enthusiasts, this airplane rests in the waters off the coast of Vis Island in Croatia. It was sunk in 1944 and sank about 72 meters underwater. Experts say that due to the depth, the B-17 Flying Fortress has been better preserved than some museum pieces. The story goes that the plane took heavy damage during a bombing run in Vienna in November 1944. After dumping its excess cargo, the plane landed on the sea about 50 meters from Vis Island. It stayed on the surface for a few hours before sinking to the bottom, mostly intact. Choke Lagoon, Western Pacific. Also known as Turok Lagoon, it's located within Micronesia. During the 1940s, it served as Japan's main naval base in the South Pacific. Air attacks eventually decimated the stronghold. Dozens of Japanese warships, merchant ships, and hundreds of aircraft were destroyed during a 3-day aerial bombardment in 1944. That created one of the world's biggest graveyards of ships within the lagoon. The wrecks of aircraft, including the Mitsubishi Betty bomber and the Kawanishi flying boat, are some of the most popular attractions. In addition to fighter aircraft, you can find the remains of bulldozers, tanks, and submarines. The sunken vessels have made Choke Lagoon a hotspot for wreck diving enthusiasts from around the globe. Karamas Aero Park. A lot of airplanes find a second life after being abandoned, but this one is pretty unique. The Lion Air 737-400 had been left on the tarmac of East Java's International Airport since 2014. Its future was uncertain until an Indonesian businessman purchased it and had it transported to Bali. Within 7 months, the plane was renovated and transformed into a restaurant. It opened in 2016 as the Karamas Aero Park, and the cabin can hold up to 500 seats.
They call it an in-flight bar and restaurant, and that's, well, sort of accurate. The difference is that the cabin is supported about 23 feet off the ground.
Gila River Memorial Airport, Arizona. This is a private airport located south of Phoenix in the Grand Canyon State. Not only have the planes been abandoned, but so has the entire facility. It was constructed in 1942 and served as a satellite field for the Williams Air Force Base during the Second World War. It was later used for an air charter service and for crop dusting. The last recorded flight operations occurred in 1983. It had become an aircraft boneyard by the 90s. Most of the planes were sold for scrap, so only a few remain. That includes 4 DC-4s, also known as Skymasters, and a Lockheed Harpoon. If you want to go sightseeing, be advised that the airfield is located on a Native American reservation, so if you go there without permission, you're trespassing. Abandoned en route. Traffic in Mumbai, India can be notoriously congested. It got a lot worse when the wingless fuselage of a Boeing 737 blocked a busy road in 2007. The decommissioned aircraft was being transported through the city on a huge trailer when the driver made a wrong turn. That put the airplane on a direct course with an overpass that it was too low to fit under. Backing up was not an option, so the driver walked off and abandoned the Boeing right where it sat in the street. According to our sources, he was never seen again, but the plane was seen for a while longer as it blocked traffic, disrupted business, and became a tourist attraction. After several days, locals awoke to find that the abandoned aircraft had mysteriously vanished, but who moved it or where it was taken is still a mystery. Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, Ukraine. While airplanes weren't abandoned here, other aircraft was, and this particular boneyard has a twist. You aren't allowed near it because getting too close could kill you. Following the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986, hundreds of military vehicles were put into service. That included helicopters like the Soviet Mi-6 that were dispatched in evacuation and recovery efforts. After that equipment became irradiated with fallout, choppers and other vehicles were isolated within an area of the exclusion zone. The large scrapyard measures about 1 kilometer long, and the vehicles have been left there to decay.
The radioactivity is so intense that they should never be used again. To prevent the spread of irradiated metal, the government has banned all access to the site and imposed harsh penalties for theft.
Solheimasunder crash site. One of the best-known abandoned planes is found on the black sands of a beach in South Iceland. In November 1973, a Douglas C-117 crashed on the remote beach under mysterious circumstances. The U.S. Navy plane may have run out of fuel during a storm, but the exact reason for this mishap is still unknown. After deeming it to be unrecoverable, the Navy stripped out everything of value and left the fuselage where it crashed. It's been there ever since, and for a long time it was used as a storage facility by the farmer who owns the land. It was also used for target practice by hunters, so the hull shows bullet holes. Even though it's a popular tourist destination, it can be a dangerous trek, especially in winter.
Which of these places would be your first choice to explore? Are there any we didn't mention? Let me know in the comments below.
1. DavisMonthan Air Force Base. We've seen several aircraft boneyards on our list, and some of them are enormous, but this one dwarfs them all. Located near Tucson, Arizona, this is the only such facility for the storage of excess U.S. government and military aircraft. Other airspace vehicles, including ballistic missiles, are also stored here. Around 4,400 aircraft occupy more than 2,600 acres of desert terrain. Some of the better-known aircraft constitute a celebrity row of grounded planes. They include unique vessels like the Boeing YC-14, the AV-8B Harrier, and the B-52 Stratofortress. Unlike the majority of these boneyards, DavisMonthan offers regular guided tours. That's super cool because this place is recognized as the world's largest aircraft boneyard.